Have you ever been there?
No.
That
I've been
sounds
to the
like
Corn Palace. It's not really related.
no. I think
Good place.
well, I drove several hundred miles in the like either south I think of the Corn Palace. So,
Route 80. Yeah, like
yeah,
there's just endless signs.
of
I feel like it's just like reservation cigarette prices, Corn Palace. Corn Palace, yeah, like I did all of Route 80 at the end of that trip making the movie.
uh-huh.
And by the time I got to the Corn Palace, I was like, I slept in a car in the parking lot of the Corn Palace.
No kidding.
And I spoke with this woman who had been living. I think it's Mitchell, North Dakota, or Mitchell. Shit, where is it? Everything kind of starts to. It's near the Badlands, the actual Badlands.
Wait, the Corn Palaces?
It's like it's near Wall Drug. It's like within 5 hours of Wall Drug. Where's Wall Drug?
Oh, okay. I went to Wall Drug, and I probably went there when I went to South Dakota.
Yeah, that's what it is. South Dakota. Yeah, okay. And yeah, so I started talking to this woman in the one bar in the Corn Palace town, and she's like, totally, her whole life revolves around this like corn statue and this thing that's like literally a large high school gymnasium with a couple large murals made out of dead corn on it. And she shows me a picture of like the mayor of the town with Cornelius the corn statue, and it looks kind of like Manchurian Candidate style. Cornelius is the one giving the orders, right? And yeah, it's just a really weird place. Like if you think there's like nothing under America, like you kind of take that Leningrad Cowboys view of just sort of like this is a lot of stuff covering a hole. That's the hole. That's like
the Corn Palace is the hole.
Yeah, because it's like it like what's the point? But it's but the whole town revolves around it. It's I can't think of anything quite. I mean, like obviously it's a tourist town, but like most tourist towns, it's because they're providing a service of some sort. Like this town, it's literally just we're near a major road and we put some corn on a wall, a couple walls.
But wait,
we're gonna get so much hate mail from South Dakotans.
Yeah. No. Okay, I gotta tell you. So I mentioned I was, I knew something about South Dakota and the Badlands. So I've been to South Dakota. I've been to the Badlands. South Dakota. My trip to South Dakota is one of my favorite trips that I ever took. And so when I took it, I actually had only worked at this company for a few months, and then I went to visit a friend of mine in Minneapolis, and then we drove from there to South Dakota, and we saw the statue of Crazy Horse, and we saw the Badlands, and of course, and Mount Rushmore, and we went as far as Devil's Tower in Wyoming, and then we turned right back. And then we also spent some time on the Lakota Sioux reservation. And apparently, my friend told me that I fall asleep in the car very easily. And so when he was driving,
that's why we haven't done an episode in one yet.
Yeah, I'll be asleep the whole time. It's bad enough if there's a couch, which we're watching the movies on, that I struggle to stay awake. And if we're watching a movie, I struggle to stay awake.
I don't know if you've ever been to Cherokee, North Carolina.
No,
but it's like. So Brian, who's the guy who co-directed the movie, and there's this place called the world's largest as seen on TV store.
That's the actual name?
Yes. Every product in the store has an as seen on TV sticker on it.
Oh, neat. All right. I'm trying to decide if
Oh, and there was this casino. There's like a casino and a hotel like on the outskirts. And then there's one really big house kind of on a hill overlooking the entire rest of the town, which is that one apartment building and a lot of like park your RV here kind of campgrounds. We were there for like 2 hours. We shot a couple I took a lot of photos in the world's largest as seen on TV store. We didn't really know how to film the place without it seeming kind of exploitative.
Yeah.
And so we just kind of like left, and like I tell people stories now. And like the movie I think came across as cranky enough about the U.S. So like I think the general sentiment came through.
Okay. So you were worried about it seeming like you were exploiting an as seen on TV store.
No, just the like general crappy situation in the town.
Okay, gotcha.
Like,
yeah, that would.
Like, if we went around interviewing people, like maybe, I mean, granted, like nobody really looked like people do own firearms out there, and like if somebody looks like they like, some people really want to talk, some people really do not want to talk, and you don't want to necessarily approach the ones that don't want to talk.
How were you able to? How did you know who wanted to talk, who didn't?
Usually, the easiest way to interview people in that kind of situation is just go to a bar around 10 or 11 at night, and then people will just be like, yeah, you know, they're like clawing over each other to like talk shit to the camera. Or like parties, if somebody invited us to a party, we just bring the camera and be like, because we asked everybody the same 4 questions, which not a lot of the interview footage made it into the final film, but it did inform most of the content in the rest of the film. And the 4 questions we asked were, how do you feel about your state or area? How do you feel about the general state of the United States? I think it was only 3. No. Okay, yeah. The 3rd question was, where do you see the United States in 15 years? And the 4th question was, if you want to say anything else we didn't ask about, like just kind of a blank space.
Okay.
And we started getting almost identical answers to all 3 questions, which was really eerie.
In any one place or across the country?
Across the country, like there were interesting, like I was in Welcome, Minnesota, population 600. It basically exists, so when you get off the highway, there's a giant sign that says Welcome. And I'm talking to this guy outside, probably the only gas station. Well, I got a Welcome lighter.
Okay.
And I don't know where that went to, but somewhere. And and the guy starts like talking, like he hasn't read Karl Marx, but he starts talking about Karl Marx. But like everybody that I spoke to seemed convinced that the United States was not going to exist in 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
Like not literally everybody, but like a solid 70%, like enough to be pretty alarming when you're literally just picking randos off the street. And that kind of, I think, influence, because I think a lot of the people we stayed with might have been off-put by how generally, I mean, I don't know if the tone of Plainsong is necessarily negative. It's kind of pretty morbid, I would say, right? Like, there's a lot of things just kind of sitting, kind of like not really moving very much.
Sorry, you were saying not moving very much?
Yeah. It's all on YouTube if you're interested.
The movie?
Yeah. And Ron has seen most of it, I think.
I saw...
But it was on a couch, so it wasn't fair.
Yeah, I was there for all of it. And a friend of ours kept punching me to get me to wake up. And I really wanted to stay up, and because I was even told, like,
I mean, it's a pretty sleepy movie, though, to be fair.
There's parts of it that don't have much dialogue in it, right?
There's like 1/4 of it is almost entirely people talking and sometimes talking over each other. But the rest of it, like the first episode and the 4th episode. Well, I guess the first episode, there's the whole like interview with the guy running the homeless camp out near Portland part. So that has some dialogue. But like 3rd episode, there's literally no dialogue. 4th episode, there's also no dialogue.
Okay.
Yeah, so like a full half of the movie plus some in the other segments has, just kind of reconstructed or layered ambient audio.
I remember corn or wheat, or both.
Probably a little bit of both, yeah. The Cornelius does show up in the movie somewhere, I forget. But I had so much footage of the fucking corn guy. Because like by that point, Brian had gotten a job at a dispensary farm thing. So I was just on my own on the road with the camera.
Oh wow!
And
I didn't realize that you were on your own. I thought there was somebody else with you.
Oh yeah, well Brian was there for like the first 2.5 months of the trip, and then he ended up staying out in Oregon. And I thought I was going back to what was my job at Lyrical Ballad Bookstore, but apparently just sort of like randomly leaving for multiple months because you got Kickstarter money doesn't leave the best impression. I mean, they were happy we finished the movie, but like I was definitely not working at that bookstore anymore.
They're like, hey, congratulations, we're so excited you finished the movie, but we're excited for you outside, not inside.
Right. Like, go be free, little.
We're excited when we're sitting on your couch and watching it, or in the theater.
I did like a work cut that was 80 minutes. That was the first feature-length cut of the film.
Mm-hmm.
I showed it to Stephen Lack and John Jost. John Jost is the guy. Like, Plain Songs is technically, or it started out as the third movie in a series of essay films he's been doing since 1973. He started making this one. It was supposed to be 8 hours long, and he just got like too depressed looking at strip malls over and over again. He's like, I don't want to make this movie anymore. So Brian sent him a message. He's like, hey, me and Dan might want to make the movie. And then he contacted me. He's like, hey, Dan, do you want to make a movie? And I was like, okay. So we asked like John if he had any notes or materials. He gave us like 4 pages of like little bullet notes in a notepad document with stuff, and then was just like, yeah, if you guys need a couch somewhere, I got a couch guy,
So like lists of like what couches to stay on across the country?
No, just excuse me. We just like text him, and it's like, hey, I'm in like a random town, because he's been living as basically like a nomad since 1963, so he's got like couches everywhere.
So he's like permanent couch surfer.
Yeah, he's like, pretty much. Yeah, he's lived in certain places for like more than a year or two, but beyond that, yeah, he's spent like very long periods of time living out of a car. Wow. And like the reason we lived out of the car making the movie was because like the previous installment, Plain Talk and Common Sense, which that would be an interesting movie to watch for the cast, I think. Yeah, he like drove around the country somehow, because like film was way more expensive then. So we shot like 120 hours worth of shot and recorded, 120 hours, couple thousand photographs. He shot 5 hours and made a 2-hour movie, which I still don't know how he did it. But yeah, living out of a car and campgrounds and stuff.
What you all are missing is that every so often their car will come by, and I'll hold up my finger kind of rudely to tell Dan to stop talking for a moment, because we won't be able to hear what he says. And then, like, at least once, I turned my finger. I made a circle.
See, and I kind of consider like audio pointillism.
What does that mean?
Well, it just means that like there's little dots where I'm audible, and then you kind of have to make the picture yourself out of them.
Oh, okay.
But there's empty spaces of just incoherent noise.
Yeah. Well, I was raising my finger and pointillizing at you.
But yeah, I got off talking about the movie. But
wait, what was I going to say? Oh, South Dakota was great. Oh, I've got to mention one more thing. The South Dakota stuff was there's a museum there. It's basically, a museum of, I can't remember if it's Native American history. It's not that broad. It's more like the Museum of Native American Genocide. It's not quite that, but it does cover that. But it's a really harrowing place, and I recommend that everybody go there. I recommend everybody go to South Dakota and drive through it and get stoned.
Oh yeah, they have the General Custer Museum out there too. Did you go to that? It's kind of crazy. Like, it's a pretty like historically accurate museum, but the gift shop is in the very front, and they have oh god, who is the Native American chief at Little Bighorn? That's an errata one, I think.
Yeah, wow. Well, maybe we should actually like splice it in, because it's so embarrassing to remember Custer's name, but not.
But yeah, they have these cardboard cutouts, and they sell shirts for either, and they just have kind of like like boxers or briefs near the counter, like. Who are you picking? Are you going with Custer? Or are you going with the guy whose name we forgot?
You know what? I
there's
can't.
Like a 15-minute clip of somebody talking about Custer that it just plays on loop in the parking lot even when the museum's closed. And there was also like the smallest, least equipped Subway restaurant I saw in the country right next to it.
Okay, I'm on Wikipedia right now. I'm looking. I can't go any further without finding his name. But
Sitting Bull.
Sitting Bull. I think you're right. Commanders and leaders sitting. Oh, Crazy Horse was one of them.
I think
okay.
Crazy Horse was the one that was in the gift shop.
Oh, okay. Well, again, Crazy Horse is the giant carving out of a mountain that's still being worked on.
Right, and like Neil Young is into Sitting Bull, so history is remembered by the guys who recorded classic rock records.
Yeah, so this is a plug for South Dakota.
Yeah, I had a good time here.
Yeah, and my friend and I got stoned in the Badlands. So
oh, nice.
Good, and pot definitely wasn't legal anywhere at the time. There are a few places in the country where it was a little, where it was decriminalized, like in towns, not or small cities. I remember when I lived in Ann Arbor, and it was, you got a citation for it, and actually while I was there was a vote to, I guess, criminalize it. So it would be more than just a citation. I don't remember if it was a citation exactly, but it made the fine worse, and it made it maybe even jailable. And the sad thing was that students voted in the election. So you had a lot of students actually voting to recriminalize marijuana. This isn't the 60s I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That was a little later.
Maybe it's like Captain Marvel, where like Gary Busey would say a secret word and then turn into Charlton Heston.
Oh, Captain Marvel, the original.
Yeah, the CC Beck,
who became
later DC. Shazam,
yeah.
Which is the secret word.
Right, not Captain Marvel, the female. That's
not
Captain Marvel.
not the male Marvel Captain Marvel, or the female Marvel Captain Marvel, or the other female Marvel Captain Marvel.
And that's just some of them. Well,
there's like the galaxy. There's like the Nova Corps and everything across the galaxy. But I think there's the one who dies of cancer in the special, where it's just sort of like a bunch of pin-up shots of different Marvel superheroes at a bed hospice. It's a weird comic book. The Death of Captain Marvel by Jim Starlin. Let's see. So that's the first Marvel one. Then there's Carol Danvers, who's the like white lady Captain Marvel, and then there's the new one that came out a couple of years ago, who I have not read the comics yet, so I do not remember her name.
And that's what
the movie was based on.
That's what the movie is based on. When I meant, and that's just some of them, was that there's a whole Marvel family.
Oh, yeah, and the CC Beck one, there's Mary Marvel, Kid Marvel, and that's actually what the Alan Moore Miracle Man comics were all based off of, was the... a knockoff of the because Captain Marvel was actually in Europe more popular than Superman initially. So there were, the same way that there's like a ton of Superman knockoffs in U.S. comics, there were a ton of Captain Marvel knockoffs in European superhero and kids comics, and the most famous one was called Marvel Man, and that's what the Alan Moore comics are based around.
Oh, okay. I thought even Marvel Man, that wasn't a Marvel Comics thing?
They own it now because there was like a 30-year court battle, but no, that was originally published in... I forget what the original British publication was, because like they were publishing them in the 60s and stuff, so it was kids comics.
Wait, is
the original, the Alan Moore ones in the 80s were in a British sci-fi comics magazine that was kind of like an alternative to 2000 AD. That was called Warrior Magazine, and then they were later republished in the United States by Eclipse Comics, who, because Warrior went out of business, Eclipse Comics ended up finishing the story.
Okay.
V for Vendetta also started as a Warrior serial.
Oh, okay.
And was also not finished until a U.S. company, in that case, DC, took it over.
And then it became a movie with Natalie Portman.
Much later, yeah.
And a mask.
A very famous mask.
Which is now used by...
Anonymous.
Anonymous, thank you. What's that anonymous group called? Oh, yeah.
Well, it must be working if you can't remember what they're called.
Yeah, that's true. Whatever happened to them?
So actually, the previous...
Wait.
I haven't answered everything tonight, I guess.
We don't want to be on get on Anonymous's bad side.
Okay, so the previous podcast I did called "A Radio Without Money" for the Writers Without Money website. One of the guys that was a regular on the show actually had what I presume is like sort of inside information. So basically, the government divided and conquered all the like higher ups of the like formal organized head or structure of Anonymous, I guess you would say. And yeah, basically Anonymous is if anybody's claiming to be anonymous now, technically it's not unkosher, because that was kind of what Anonymous was hoping to do. But the actual group that did all the stuff like 10 years ago as Anonymous is not really a functional extant organization at this point.
And that was the plot of V for Vendetta in a nutshell.
And we can send out a link to that, because that's still up on the Writers Without Money website, so we can post a link to the
podcast?
Demise of Anonymous podcast. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I can tweet it out too. Ooh, there's a lot of links to tweet out right now. So all right, we've got multiple a day tweets coming up.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that fish until I finally, I started seeing something. And
fish thing?
Yeah, and a couple of people a couple of women had to explain it to me, and I didn't realize just how many straight guys have pictures of them holding, I guess it's fish that they caught, right?
Right.
I find that so bizarre. I don't understand why that's such a thing.
Well, because it's...
They're proud of their fish.
It's not even that they're proud that they caught the fish. It's that they're proud of the fish itself. They really like fish.
Well, if you're in that like Charlton Heston, if you're in that Charlton Heston mindset, the fish has a dual purpose. Because first you can go up to the Nova woman and be like, "Hey, I got dinner," and if that doesn't pique her interest, you hit her over the head with the fish. And that's how I think Charlton Heston met his actual wife from watching this movie.
It's an ultimate symbol of like toxic masculinity.
Oh yeah, wow! Talk about toxic masculinity.
Right? It's because it's like, okay, you're holding a thing that's like,
well, no, it could be like, because like at least
it's also you can feed people with it, which is the positive.
There's low saturated fat. There's omega-3s.
I'm going to take a picture.
To be contrary,
I'm going to take a picture for my Tinder profile of me holding a guppy, or just a fishbowl, a little fishbowl with a little goldfish swimming around.
Yeah. Have you seen those memes with like a goldfish with Nicolas Cage's head photoshopped onto it? And like if I was on Tinder, it would be a picture of me holding a dead fish, but it would be my face photoshopped really awkwardly onto the dead fish, like Seaman for the Dreamcast style. Ew. Right? And that's why it's really lucky I have a girlfriend right now, because I don't know if I could pull off that trick again.
And she's making that same ew face that I was just making. So.
Yeah, I'd have to start paying for Photoshop again for one thing.
So Elizabeth is a photographer. So Elizabeth, can we go to a pet shop and you could take a picture of me holding a bowl with a goldfish in it?
Sure.
Because I don't want to actually buy a goldfish, because then I have to take it home and feed
Elizabeth,
it and kill it.
Yeah, we can go on a little adventure.
Yeah. Unless you know anyone that has a fishbowl.
I could find a fishbowl. Give me a week.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who has a fishbowl.
Well, with fish in it, I meant. So anybody who has fish.
Right.
Yeah,
well, I know people have fish, but
fish are like $2. We just drive down the street. Like goldfish. You talking about goldfish are like?
Yeah. No.
That's why they hand them out at weddings sometimes.
But it has to be a goldfish in a fishbowl.
So you find a fishbowl, you put water in it, and you get the goldfish for like $2.
We're not going to buy goldfish.
Yeah, I don't want to keep it. I'll kill it. I won't intentionally kill it.
That's what everybody who buys it from the pet shop, like, feed it to something. At least like make
They're a pain. What's going to eat a goldfish?
You ate goldfish the other day.
What?
The cheddar one.
Huh.
Oh, there we go. I'll just hold up.
Wait! Oh my gosh! Wait! Yes, do that. Do that. But hold it like you're holding. Hold it from the mouth.
Okay. And we're gonna go to the marina. I'll stand in front of a boat holding a cheddar goldfish. You'll take a picture of that?
Yes, hands down. I'm more than happy.
That is
to
going to be...
record this moment.
Okay, can you take a portrait of me to Photoshop into the shape of just the head of the goldfish?
So I'm doing two different things here.
So that people know that Ron is a kid.
Wait, that Ron is a what?
A package deal.
Oh, package deal, yeah.
With this, like, weird fish man.
With you.
Real little tiny fish man that I eat. Yeah, actually we're going to have the whole package. Like a whole bunch of
goldfish crackers or Daniel.
All Dan faces.
Yeah, all Dan faces on them. And all the same face.
Yeah.
No, that's called Going Overboard. That's another one on the IMDb bottom 100. It's supposedly the worst live-action Adam Sandler movie, but
that's setting the bar pretty low.
The Cobbler is worse.
You know, it's funny. So I don't like Adam Sandler, though I really enjoyed The Waterboy. But in general, I don't like him. I don't think.
Oh yeah, I got a soft spot for. What's the one where he goes through elementary school in like 3 weeks? Billy Madison.
Billy Madison.
Yeah.
No, it's Billy Madison.
Well, there's the one where he
one?
plays. Yeah, Billy Madison's the golf one. God, what is that one?
What's the name of his production company? Because it's a combination of the
Happy
two.
Madison. Oh, Happy Gilmore. That's what it's called.
Oh,
yeah.
no, you're right. It's Billy Madison.
Happy Gilmore is the golf one. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, The Cobbler is by far the worst Adam Sandler movie, and I have seen 8 Crazy Nights, and that was really bad. I feel like bad Adam Sandler too. It's like different than other bad movies because like there's not really a good Adam Sandler movie. I mean, okay, what I don't know what Thomas Anderson one.
Waterboy has Fruza Balk in it, and Kathy Bates. So
yeah, maybe
anything that Fruza Balk is in, that's automatically a top tier.
The Wedding Singer's fun. It's not
the Wedding Singer's fun.
It's not Tarkovsky, but if it's on TV, I can watch it.
But so I actually enjoyed The Cobbler. I don't know how many times it kept showing up on Netflix as a recommendation. You'll love this, and I'm like, no. Okay, Netflix knows me pretty well about the kind of crap that it'll promote to me, but not that. But I finally watched it. I finally after I don't know almost a year of being shown this thing, and it began with that scene of the Yiddish speaking cobblers from 100 years ago. So I was like, oh, that's pretty funny, like the what's going on there. And then I got into it a little bit, and then the overt racism came on,
right?
And I haven't watched any more of it.
I feel like there was a pretty good because like Adam Sandler seems like a very depressed, isolated man by like what he seems to focus on in his movies when he's not overtly trying to be funny. Like, because like a lot of The Cobbler, it feels like some kind of bad indie drama.
Yeah, like the Meyerowitz stories.
Yeah, and I feel like if he just leaned into that and decided, because he doesn't look like he's enjoying being funny in that movie at all, right? Like,
yeah, he's pretty somber.
Yeah, he seems just like this grouchy.
Well, at least for the first part that I saw.
And like people have tried to harness, because like I think Judd Apatow saw that in him, and he basically tries to make him play that character in Funny People. Right?
I haven't seen Funny People.
Oh, you never saw Funny?
No.
It's okay.
What's it about?
So Adam Sandler's a world famous comedian. Seth Rogen is a comedian who's on the upswing.
Okay.
Adam Sandler has a crush on some like rich guy's wife, who's played by Leslie Mann, who's actually Judd Apatow's real life wife.
Okay.
And shenanigans happen. Adam Sandler acts like a cranky old man and eventually rediscovers some part of the joy of his youth by connecting with the Sandler or with the Seth Rogen character.
I already don't like this movie.
I
don't think Seth Rogen can save it from the Adam Sandler-ness of it.
It's much more of a Judd Apatow, because like Judd Apatow's been friends with Adam Sandler since they were like really young.
Oh, really?
At least college. Yeah, that's why like Undeclared. Did you ever see the like follow up to Freaks and Geeks where it's college kids instead of high school kids?
No, I have not. I actually took a long time before I saw Freaks and Geeks, and when I finally saw it, I'm like, how did I wait so long to watch this?
Okay, so Undeclared is I can lend it to you if you want.
Yeah.
It's not nowhere near as good as Freaks and Geeks, but it's pretty enjoyable. In terms of like college TV shows, there aren't a lot of good college TV shows that I could do. Like college does not lend itself well to television, I don't think, which is weird because like high school's the perfect environment for television. Like I can't think of a single good show set in a college.
Well, when Saved by the Bell moved on to college, I mean,
The college years.
Yeah. Oh, did you ever watch that?
No.
Oh, it was awful.
Because, like, I can't even think of that many shows, because the show either usually starts, like, the characters are in their mid-20s and they just got out of college, because that always puts people in a situation that makes for a good sitcom pilot, right? Like, you get the new roommates, you're in the new city, the audience is introduced to everybody at the same time the main character is, and then you go on and have sitcom hijinks or whatever. But, yeah, like, the only show I can think of where the person going to college was actually a big part of it, besides Undeclared, and that one other, like, one-season animated show, Undergrads, I think it was called Felicity.
Yeah.
That's the only one I can think of, yeah.
Community.
Oh, Community, right,
Hilarious.
Community. Yeah, Community's great. Yeah, Abed's, like, my spirit animal.
And it had Donald...
Donald Glover before... Have you seen Atlanta?
Yes. So
good.
Yeah.
So good.
Well, I saw the first season. Is the second season come out?
Yeah, second season's really good, too.
Yeah, it deserved all the nominations and wins that it got.
Yeah, and it's weird, because I didn't really like his stand-up that much, but I kept hearing all this buzz, like, he's secretly, like, the genius. He's not, like, the genius behind Community, but he's, like, working on something that's going to blow up Community out of the water, because that was, like, the talk in the background was, like, this Donald Glover kid's going to do stuff.
Okay.
And, like, I saw his Netflix specials, and I wasn't that impressed, but then I saw Atlanta, and I was like, damn. Like, so good.
Yeah, the guy that he plays in Community is kind of a knucklehead.
Right. It's like very against type.
Yeah.
With who he actually is.
Yeah. Which is more Orlando Calrissian in Solo.
Right.
I thought he was fun in that. I also enjoyed Solo, less so the first time. So I'm probably in a minority.
If you like The Cup, try the movie. Solo, a beer pong story.
You know how I watched I watched the Princess Diaries for an Anno Mini, which is available online
available
for a small
wherever
fee.
you buy your podcasts.
And I made the contention that not only that Heather Matarazzo is the best part of it, but that also this is Anne Hathaway's best role. And I have stand by that. I was being a little hyperbolic, but I think she's actually funny, and she's also got some good, not just speaking, but she's got some really good. She's really good at the physical comedy, and she's got great comic timing. And Gary Marshall took advantage of that. But in most of her career, she's either done some really serious stuff, or
yeah, and I think she was always better at comedy than because when she's serious, she kind of comes across as just sort of like worried more than dramatic sometimes. I think.
Okay.
Or like she can play like cold and kind of like what was it, Brokeback Mountain as the wife. She's like pretty good, I thought.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like, oh,
was that her breakout role?
I thought her breakout role. Oh, her break. Yeah, that was like the thing because she did
the dramatic breakout. Suddenly, like,
well, because Princess Diaries, she was fairly old as far as child actors go, I think. So she didn't have that weird. She had a little bit of that like Daniel Radcliffe transitional period. She did that one movie where it's like about gang violence called Chaos.
Okay.
Where it's just sort of like, hey, it's a serious role, so somebody dies, you cry at some point, there's a topless scene because that means that it's entertainment for adults.
Okay.
In the what are we talking about? 2004, 2005.
What I was going to do was watch every single Anne Hathaway movie and see whether it's true that of how much she's underused. One, how much she's underutilized as a comic actress, and two, if she's actually really that funny. And it was just a little quirk in Princess Diaries. But then I decided, you know what? I'm not going to watch the serious stuff because I know she's not going to be funny. There's no attempt to make her funny in the serious movies because they're serious movies with serious roles. So I'll only watch the movies and the lighthearted stuff. So stuff like The Intern and Bride Wars and whatever.
Devil Wears Prada.
And the Devil Wears Prada. That's the one whose name I couldn't remember. I moved on to Bride Wars. So now maybe I need to watch the serious stuff.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I mean, she's like the only reason I wanted to see Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, I'm going to have to watch that again? Ooh.
because like I still have not seen that, but
no.
I mean, I had kind of a crush on her when I was 12, and like the idea of like the the bat lady suit.
Wait, she's Batwoman?
Isn't she Batgirl or is she Catwoman in that movie?
Oh, maybe she's Catwoman.
Either way, like it's.
I think you're right.
It's it's not a good reason to watch a movie.
Well, the reason I said, I've got to watch that again is because it means if I'm going to watch Dark Knight Rises, it means I got to watch all the Dark Knight movies.
Again.
And watching them again is the problem. I don't know if
Batman Begins is such a bad movie. Like, I tried to watch it. It's, like, incoherent for most of it. I could not...
I'm trying to remember whether how much I enjoyed them. If I thought that I was blown away and they were amazing, or if I was like, or both. Could have been both.
I remember I saw the V for Vendetta movie, and I went through, like, an Alan Moore obsessive phase when I was a teenager. And I think I read everything, but I read at least everything that Alan Moore had written from like 1978 through about like 2000.
Okay.
And the V for Vendetta movie comes out. I think like this is so stupid compared to the book. And then I saw the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie, and I was like, this is just objectively stupid. And I was just like, I don't want to see any more superhero movies. This sucks.
Was that the last superhero movie you saw?
No. I saw it. I mean, like, they're inescapable at this point.
Yeah.
But
although the last Spider-Man that you saw, what was it? Was
last Spider-Man I saw was actually the second date I ever went on with my first girlfriend.
Okay.
It was the first date was X-Men 2, actually. The second date somehow ended up being, because there was a long time between the first and second date, because she was like, this guy's kind of a weirdo, but then she'd like go out and live in the woods for 6 weeks at a time, so it takes one. Anyway, it was Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2 with Dr. Octopus.
Okay.
And I enjoyed that. I did. I mean, I remember being really excited when the first X-Men movie came out because, like, superheroes were total dork shit back then. And I was like, man, they're throwing us a bone. Then I got into the theater and I was like,
it's a bone.
It's definitely a bone. I don't know what's up with all the leather. Bryan Singer's going to have to answer that one. But
speaking of leather, you're right. Anne Hathaway played Selena Kyle.
Okay, that's Now
I do want to watch it again because now, like, seeing.
Well, that's why, like, David Bowie wrote a whole concept album about like how he had the hots for Eartha Kitt, right? Like,
did he really?
It was Hours. I know there's at least like one or two songs about Eartha Kitt on Hours, the '98, like his kind of soft rock album.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right. You don't remember which songs offhand, do you? I'll look it up.
It's been so long since I heard that. That's probably the hardest David Bowie record to find anywhere now that I'm thinking about it. Because, like...
What do you mean? You go to Spotify and you're all set?
Oh, yeah, you go to Spotify. Like, as a physical copy, like, I never see the CD of that. It's middle of the 90s, so there's no records pressed. Maybe there's a couple audio cassettes. I don't think I wasn't specifically looking, but I've never seen it.
On vinyl or audio cassette? Plenty of
vinyl?
CDs. Probably.
No, never seen it on CD.
Really?
Yeah. Like, it might just be when I've looked at the CDs. Like, I bet we could go on Discogs and find one for, like, $2 right now.
Oh, I probably used to own it on CD.
But, I don't know. Maybe, like, people have been trashing CDs for a while now, so they're probably going to start getting rare like records did, right? Because, like... records, people had to destroy a certain amount of them, figuring they were worthless before the market could come back in any way, because there were just way too many of them.
I probably owned the CD. I owned every single David Bowie album on CD. But then I got rid of a lot of stuff, including all my David Bowie albums on CD, because I ended up getting them. I ripped them, so I didn't need the physical CD anymore. And unlike most CDs, in which I put them all in just a big case or a big binder,
you kept the cases on those.
I kept the cases for the Bowie CDs. So then I gave them all to a friend of mine, and he sold them on eBay, and he got some money for some of them because they were still in the original case. Anyways, what was the point? Oh, so I was just showing off that I used to own this hard-to-find CD.
Oh, yeah. I've been, like, trying to collect a complete... I mean, I had a nearly complete vinyl Bowie set when I was younger, because, again, you could pick that stuff up for $1 for the longest time. Like, I had 2 copies of Heroes at one point. It's like a $40 record now. I bought both of them for $1 when I was a teenager. But yeah, they like low is really hard to find. It seems like, but everything else in the '70s, if you just like wait long enough, it'll pop up.
You'll find it without.